Thought so.
Good afternoon, my dear friends. Today in this video upload, we are going to read together Kamala Das's poem, The Old Playhouse. This poem has been taken from Kamala Das's third volume of poems, The Old Playhouse and Other Poems. This book was published in 1973. Kamala Das, whose lifespan was actually she was born in 1934 and died in 2009. So, this poem has been published when Kamala Das was already, actually she was 44, 54, 64, 74. So 39 years old. Kamala Das was born, as we have known, in 1934, and she was married when she was only 13. So, in 1947. And when this poem was written, she had already spent 26 years of married life. Why am I saying this? Why am I stressing this point? Because, like many of her other poems, this has a very marked autobiographical element. From my story, from many of her interviews, my story is kind of a fictionalized autobiography of Kamala Das. We all know about it. From many of her other interviews also, Kamala Das has revealed the fact that her life after marriage was not very, very rosy or very, very comfortable, because she did not receive from her husband, who in her poetry appears off and on as the husband figure. From her husband, Kamala Das had not received the kind of tenderness and warmth of companionship that she had hoped for. This poem actually is narrated by the speaker in the first person, and it seems like a kind of a memoir. So, today we are going to read the poem, but we are going to read it in two separate but related presentations. We are going to read the first 15 or 16 lines of the poem in this and leave the rest to be covered in the next presentation. Before we read this poem, we have to look at the title, The Old Playhouse. In this poem, Kamala Das has also compared her mind with the old playhouse with all its lights put out. So in a way, her mind is like the old playhouse. Old, that is ancient, of long standing. But at the same time, old can also mean natural or normal, what has been and may be been. Now, house, we all know, is associated both with the idea of shelter, and in the feminist discourse, it is also sometimes indicative of confines, how the women were confined. Now, when Kamala Das talks about playhouse, a kind of a make-believe aspect also creeps into the poetic narrative because, play is a kind of a make-believe. It is not in earnest. Now, we all know from our reading of Ibsen's poem and play, excuse me for this slip, Ibsen's play, The Doll's House, we have seen how marriage, in the case of Ibsen's play, was some kind of a doll's house. Again, some kind of a playhouse. Uh, in this poem, because the theme is about marriage and disillusionment of the woman persona, obviously, this idea of the title has to be there in the background. So let us concentrate on the text now. And today also I am going to enlist the help of one of my students who will read out the relevant portions of the poem for the benefit of all. For the convenience of our discussion, I have actually divided the poem into short sections so that we can first get the relevant portion read and then obviously discuss. And in this way, we will go forward. So, please read the first section of the poem.
Yes, sir. You planned to tame a swallow to hold her in the long summer of your love so that she could forget not the raw seasons alone and the homes left behind, but also her nature, the urge to fly and the endless pathways of the sky.
So, obviously, this section gives us some about the intention of the husband seeker, the you of the poem. You planned to tame the swallow, and obviously, the remembrance of Shakespeare's play, The Taming of the Shrew, comes to our mind. So, there is the question of taming a swallow, a bird, a free spirit who always can soar and roam in the endless pathways of the sky. But the husband figure, the you of the poem, planned to tame that swallow. Why? So that the bird is tamed, the bird is made to forget the raw seasons and be confined in the summer of your love, that is the husband's love. Here, marital love is pointed out, which is an other word for all-round domination by the supercharged male ego. So, obviously, the other raw seasons, the homes left behind, and the urge to fly, all these things, the love of freedom, the other moorings, homes, not one home, but homes. There are other moorings. Those homes are also left behind. When someone marries, especially a woman marries, she has to subside in a patriarchal society within the house, the confines of the house, the four walls. So that was the plan of the husband figure. So let us go to the next section.
It was not to gather knowledge of yet another man that I came to you, but not to learn what I was, and by learning to learn to grow, but every lesson you gave was about yourself.
Okay. Now, if there were the plans of the husband figure, then there were also the wishes of the woman persona. She had certain desires. She She had also certain expectations out of marriage. She did not come to the husband figure to know another man. So there was no mercenary motive in her, at least. So she wanted the companionship of love and understanding. She wanted to learn to grow like Shelley's Alistair. She wanted to complete her mental growth and achieve her full personality, the full flowering of her personality. But every lesson that she was offered was about the husband figure. So it was the husband's prerogative, it was the husband's power to dictate terms in the marital relationship. Okay, the next section.
Yes, sir. We were pleased with my, sorry, sir. You were pleased with my body's response, its weather, its usual shallow convulsions.
Convulsions.
You dribbled spittle into my mouth. You poured yourself into every nook and cranny. You embalmed my poor lust with your bitter-sweet juices.
Now here, the sad and brutal reality of married life is brought to the surface by the disillusioned woman persona. She had asked for understanding and companionship, but what did she receive? She received brutality. She received utter indifference from the husband figure. Okay, read it again.
First one.
Yes, yes, this one.
You were pleased with my body's response.
Yes, you were pleased with my body's response. So just look at the word response. You were pleased with my body's response. So the initiative was taken not by the woman persona but by the male figure, the husband figure. The husband figure imposed himself, be it sex, be it the other issues of the marital relationship. It was the male who was the aggressor. It was the male who took the initiative. And he was pleased, husband figure was pleased with the woman's physical response. Okay, next line, physical response then. What is the response?
Its weather, its usual shallow.
Weather, its usual shallow convulsion. So obviously, the weather. It said that a woman's body, according to feminist discourse of the second wave, seeing the body, the woman has shifting moods and shifting climates, which in some ways is related to the monthly cycles and all that, the sexual desires. And, in the case of the woman, her ideas, her desires are kept to the back burner, and it is the response that she can only give. Shallow convulsions, the contraction of muscles, presumably during the sexual act and all that. So these were things that pleased the husband figure. And the husband figure could dribble spittle into her mouth. Now, according to some critics, it is about the brutal way of kissing. And since there is a mention of the mouth here, it can also refer to the sexual act. Okay, yes, then the next line.
You dribbled spittle,
Spittle,
okay,
yes.
spittle into
Then,
my mouth. You poured yourself into
yes,
every.
you pour yourself into every nook and cranny. So all corners, everything, my body and my being, that is the being and body of the woman speaker, the persona, everything was pervaded by the male. So if we can recall a line from, say, the Descendants, you know, we were the yielders. We had to yield to everyone. You know, she had to yield everything. In marriage, she had to yield everything: her body, her personality, her desires, her whole being. Okay, yes, go on. You embalmed my poor lust with
Your
bitter,
your bitter
your
your bitter sweet juices.
juices.
Mm.
You embalmed. So, embalmed can all mean, you remember embalmed darkness from Ode to a Nightingale. Embalm can mean preserve by chemical means. The corpses were preserved in Egypt and other places, mummified. So, and it can also give fragrance to something. So, in a way, the woman speaker was mummified, and her poor lust. Why poor? Because it was powerless. Her desires, her sexual expectations, they were not given their proper fulfillment. And the husband figure pervaded everything. He was the boss, as they say. And with bittersweet juices, obviously, it can refer to the semen, and it can mean the sexual act again. Okay, let's go to the next section.
Yes, sir. You called me wife. I was taught to break saccharin into your tea and to offer at the right moment the vitamins. Cowering beneath your monstrous ego, I ate the magic leaf and became a
Loaf. I ate the magic loaf.
So it's a loaf and became a dwarf.
Dwarf. Okay. So you call me wife. When did you call me wife? Presumably, when I could satisfy you. The woman speaker was given some kind of a consolation prize in marriage. The tag of wife and the quote unquote safety and security of the house. And you call me wife, and I was taught. That means you taught me. Obviously, the husband figure taught the woman, the wife, to do what? To break saccharin into his tea. Okay. It can refer to someone with blood sugar, high blood sugar. So, saccharin into his tea and give vitamins, We all know that we are talking about a long married life, and the disillusions have actually gathered over the years. So these were the wifely duties, the chores that the wife had to fulfill, had to do in order to gain the safety of the home, in order to gain the tag of the wife from the husband figure. And what else? He had to cower, be frightened, as if before a giant. The egotistical husband figure, his male ego was so pronounced that the woman had to cower before him. And she had to eat the magic loaf, the magic loaf of married woman's portion, and become a dwarf. So she had to lose her personality. So obviously, the picture that we get of married life from the perspective of the woman figure is not one of very rosy tints. It's not very happy. On the contrary, it is one of disillusionment, one of routine drabness, where one had to perform certain duties in order to receive the so-called safety of married life. We will continue this discussion in the next presentation. Thanks for watching.